All right, good morning, everyone. It is July 21st, 2023, and this is the Ips Morning Deprogram. And it's not a program because I'm not a programmer and you are not programmable. If you're listening to IPR, you're in all likelihood inoculated against mind war. What we're doing here is we're deconstructing the mass media programming, and I want to begin with this. This is a very, very fascinating clip here, and we'll extrapolate the meaning behind it all. This is from Fox and Friends. This is Jim Caviezel, spelled with a Q, talking about his role and Trump's role.
We have to do a lot more, and we got to start with Donald Trump.
What do you mean?
Well, he's got to be in there because he's going to go after the traffickers.
Do you think he understands that?
We were with him last night.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so he's going to be moved to do something. I didn't know that.
Oh,
He wasn't here last night.
This is the new Moses. I mean, I'm still Jesus, but he's the new Moses. Pharaoh.
Okay, you heard that? He's the new Moses. I'm still Jesus, but he's Moses. And the next part.
Pharaoh, let my children go free.
Pharaoh, let my children go free. Now, what is the meaning behind this? Well, let me just go ahead and recap a couple of things, because this is what stands out to me. Trump was arraigned on 4/4/23, and the framing of it was he was a martyr, some kind of a savior. They compared him with Christ. And that day, 4/4/23, happened to be the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King was a, quote, Moses character. So we're seeing this correlation here, and this is on the heels of Trump going out to watch the movie Sound of Freedom, along with Jim Caviezel and Tim Ballard. And we've been discussing this as really a PR for the Q movement and for Trump's election, but it looks like they're really going down this route here. Joined here by Ollie Goering, Jennifer Reeves, AKLD2323, JT33, Frank Murr. Frank Murr says Apollyon. Yes, the name Apollyon, or Abaddon, or the Destroyer, are very significant, and I think it all ties into the Kraken. It's the same thing. Ollie Goering says Trump is the Orange Mahdi. Yep. Joined by Pengu33. Thank you for coming. So look, we are looking at the movie Sound of Freedom being tied into this Q thing as a obvious, I think, a way to bolster the claim that the white hats beneath the tunnels are saving children. And Trump goes and he endorses this message. And now he's being compared to Moses. So let's unpack that a little bit. Martin Luther King Jr., again, his death anniversary was on the date Trump was brought in, not a coincidence. And the speech that he gave at Mason Temple, that speech was right, I think it was the day before his assassination, and that's where you get the reference to the promised land. And here we go. King was a modern-day Moses who led his people to the promised land, but like the Moses of old, he did not live to enter it. He prophesied in his last published remarks that though he might not get there, quote, I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. Well, MAGA is the promised land to the followers of Trump. It's the idea that we can bring it back. We can make it great again. Essentially a martyr thing. You see the left, they look to the future. They look to the utopian future. The left believes in destroying what's traditional, and replacing it with something new. And the right believes in preserving what's traditional and destroying what the progressives have wrought, destroying what's new. So their utopia is in the past. Make America great again. And the other guys, theirs is in the future. And these are parallel utopias. Great Awakening, the Great Reset. These are the same outcome from the perspective of the elite. Now, again, we're talking about Martin Luther King's 55th death anniversary, the date that Trump was brought into New York. And this is also intriguing. Trump's arraignment, 4/4. That happened to be Heath Ledger's birthday, and he would have been 44. You're talking about the Joker. At the same time, The Joker 2 was being filmed at that location, in front of that courthouse, with some 700 actors portraying rioters. So the connection here again with the Joker and the Joker 2 movie, we can't ignore this stuff, especially when you look at the role of the Joker Batman movies and the Batman Joker dialectic in framing the left and right and the class warfare narrative that underpins this. In other words, Joker represents the political left. Burn it down. Joker puts the clown mask on, shoots the cops, or shoots the rich guys. But the whole movement in the Joker movie is kill the rich, and then they go after the cops, wearing masks. And this is pre-2020. This is late 2019, before the BLM riots. And Batman represents the right wing. And you see this play out in the very intro scenes of these movies, like the Joker movie, the subway scene, where it's on the subway that Joker shoots the rich guys. So subway violence from the left, from the poor, from the mentally ill, against the rich. This is one of the themes. And this has been going back for years, because this is the theme that was tapped into with the Jordan Neely psyop. But it also ties into these other Batman movies. The newest Batman opens up in a subway, only it's Batman beating up the Jokers. So it's from the other side. Not a coincidence that when that movie came out on 3/4/2022, you had the March 4th, 3/4, but you had the Frank James shooting in the subway. Again, subway violence is symbolic of the lower class. And this is all taking place within the class warfare paradigm. And this is where, the left is, burn it down, build back better, communism, and the backlash from the right is more vigilante. This is why before the Jordan Neely strangling on the subway, where he was threatening to kill people because he didn't have access to food or mental health facilities, Marjorie Taylor Greene compared New York to Gotham. Their mayor resented this, but it's intentional. This is framing. You see, because Frank James, before he shot up the subway, was actually putting up YouTube videos directed at the mayor, saying, "You're not doing enough for the mentally ill." Well, that's the same storyline as the Riddler going after the mayor in the movie. Same story. So this framing of New York as Gotham is intentional, and that's why Daniel Penny is being treated like a, quote, Batman, a vigilante, fixing Gotham. Good morning, Craig Mack has joined us. Says, who will be the next president? Tommy Jones is here. Frank was my brother's name, and James is mine. Yeah, Frank James is an outlaw name, and he was known online as the Prophet of Doom, where he had 500 followers. And the Riddler also had his online followers, who he sent to go blow up the dam on 11/6. And there's that number, which shows up everywhere pertaining to the right wing and domestic violent extremism. 6/11, 11/6. Kind of an inverted 9/11, but this is a reoccurring theme, as you will see. Now again, Trump, Moses, this is important because his arraignment on 4/4 and the MAGA Promised Land thing. So here's the actual quote. President Trump is going to save the children, the likes of which you've never seen. You might even say he's the new Moses, telling Pharaoh, the world cabal. This is from Caviezel's Twitter account. Let the children go free. Mr. President, you are the new Moses, but I am still Jesus. Fascinating. Now, again, we're looking at Jim Caviezel played the role of Jesus, and then he played this. This adds weight to his character. This is what they did with, I believe, Tim Ballard, playing the role of an undercover. I'm talking about Tim Ballard's real-world role. He went undercover, infiltrated a child trafficking ring. But I think he is Paul Walker. I think Paul Walker's a death faker. It's too perfect. And Paul Walker's character went underground into a race car ring, got to the top of this illegal race car ring, and brought it down. So they repeat these roles. And when they do it, it adds weight. It's an aggregate thing. It's like gravitas. Genders Punkit says, that's a scary statement, not good PR. Yeah, generally comparing oneself to Jesus is considered to be blasphemous. And in this case, it's wildly, just egregiously, appropriating sacred symbolism, because that's what Q is. It's a religious movement, and it's a Frankenstein religion. It's New Age, it's Old Testament, New Testament, Seventh-day Adventist. It's, in many ways, I think it's a government-designed replacement faith, and it has placed Trump as its savior. People pray to Trump. Joined by Shannon Jones, Tommy Jones, thank you for joining. Ooh, nice. Tommy Jones says 3/11 is Rupert Murdoch's birthday. Yeah, the Rupert Murdoch thing has been fascinating. There was a man named, this is something else that was a couple of months ago. There was a story about this wealthy man whose last name was also Murdoch, but it was spelled differently. And it was like a couple of weeks they were just tearing this guy down, talking about how evil he was, his empire was falling. And I'm like, I keep on hearing about the fall of Murdoch, but it wasn't the same Murdoch. And this is all on CNN. And they do this all the time intentionally. They like to flood the zone with memes. And so, yeah, Rupert Murdoch's empire somewhat falling apart in the same way. But I'm just saying it was talked about, and it was it became the subject really after this show came out, or this documentary came out, and the reportage came out about this guy named Murdoch, this murderer. I think his name was Axe Murdoch or Axel Murdoch, and I was like, the name of it also sounded like it was, I just look at the screen, is Alex Murdoch, but it looked like Axe. Alex Murdoch stands guilty of killing his wife and son. Anyway, it was a big story, a pretty big story about this powerful Southerner and this whole family empire falling apart. The murders on Netflix. Yep, the Murdoch murders. Just a side note that I'm hearing all about the Murdoch murders and the fall of Murdoch, and then they begin this smear campaign on Rupert. But yes, 3/11 as a birth date is very fascinating. That was also, I believe it was Neo's birthday in The Matrix. I know he had his passport that expired in 9/11, and his birth date was 3/11. And the significance there, Neo, the one, the reset of the Matrix. I think 9/11 represented the death of the old age, the expiration date, and the birth date, 3/11. 3/11/2020. And yeah, I talked about this last night. We were talking about the significance of numbers, names, and spans of time between dates. And one of the things I pointed out last night was that 911 days after 3/11, the day of the new crown, the Queen dies. New crown, 9/11, Queen dies. Gender says the Netflix special was lame. Someone pointed out something about the audio quality. Is it my mic going out? Just let me know if it's terrible. I can fix it before tonight. Not Shocked says Jim Caviezel played a savior role in Person of Interest TV series where the AI gave him the names of people he needed to save from something bad. Okay, so he's been typecast as a savior. Fascinating. Did not know that. JC, pretty obvious. The Jesus Christ thing. And the way they marketed the movie was pretty much like, and it was this all around. Tim Ballard, persecuted by the DHS, had to go above their heads, had to go above the bureaucracy. You had the same story with Mel Gibson and Passion of the Christ. And now this movie, acting like this movie too, is being suppressed, and they don't want you to see it. The cabal, the Pharisees. In fact, Jim Caviezel said, the people who criticize the movie are the Pharisees. And then a couple days later, he says Trump is the new Moses, telling the Pharaoh and the cabal, let my people go. Okay, I might have to just work on the sounds on the mic and everything in a bit. No big deal. Someone sent this link to me. It's Hillary Clinton. She said, I can't imagine Trump on a white horse. people have brought this up because, of course, he has been pointed out as being, in all likelihood, the Antichrist, which sounds absurd until you think about it. And he is the least Christ-like person out there to have been compared to Christ, to have been Christified. But let me go ahead and play this clip here. This is, I think, a reference to Revelations 6:2. I saw and beheld a pale horse.
His vision of America is one where we Americans are kind of helpless. We need to be rescued. I can't really imagine him on a white horse, but
So they're all laughing. I can't imagine him on a white horse. Is that just some random line, or is this predictive programming? For behold, a white horse, a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering.
that seems to be what he's telling us.
Behold, a playful penguin, says Jungle Jim. Okay, main story today, though, the main update is that Trump is being described as a new Moses, and this is a 100% tie-in to this martyring framework. He's a martyr. He's sacrificing his... This is something else he did. He said, I didn't have to do this. They love to play the role of the sacrificial martyr, like they're doing it for some altruistic reason. Oh, by the way, rate limits. I've been talking about how my Twitter accounts have been rate limited, even my troll accounts where I'm just spying on a couple of people. I'm not going through 6,000 tweets. Well, apparently, rate limits are part of a bigger plot, I think, as I've said. A bigger plot to constrain our minds. Well, it turns out, and this is from perplexity.ai, are people reporting bugs in Twitter's new rate limiting? Well, the answer is yes. People are reporting bugs in the new rate limiting. Thousands of users have reported problems accessing Twitter on July 1st, 2023, and many who tried to access or post content on the website or app were met with rate limit exceeded. Cannot retrieve tweets. In addition, tens of thousands of users complained that Twitter was not populating their feeds with new tweets, and instead they were hit with rate limit exceeded. Some have speculated that the real cause of the rate limit is a result of Twitter accidentally DDoSing itself, a direct denial of service, like overusing its own system, a super expensive API access tax scheme, unpaid cloud bills, an attempt to boost subscriptions. Another preview, and this is the part I agree with, another preview of the big wall Musk wants to build around his global town square, digital bank, that is also an everything app where you can watch Tucker Carlson and Roseanne. I had said this before, you had the infinite plane of ideas, and now it has a barrier. Now it's out there, most people won't experience the barrier, so they won't complain, but it's there. And we can already see that it has the potential to lock people out, keep people out of the conversation. Frank Murr says, greasing us down for governance over information gathering. Yes, and one other point of it is the rate. The idea of taxation, that everything you do, you have to give a little cut, give a drop of blood to the vampires. Everything. They're acclimating you to the point where, you're getting used to this idea that you pay for every breath you breathe, every meme you post. Like, that's what they're doing here. I want to post 10,000 memes in a day. Well, I don't know. Might have to put some limits on that. But if you pay, you can post more tweets. How does this not sound like the selling of indulgences? Is the selling of access to Twitter not the same thing? It's like, okay, it's really like with the environmentalist scam, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, you can pollute, but you'll destroy the world. But if you pay more taxes on your pollution, we'll let you get away with it. I'm like, how does that work? Like, are you bargaining on behalf of the human race, are you bargaining to the angry Gaia? Here's some cash. Don't punish us because this person is willing to, pay up a little bit more. And this last bit here about how you can watch Tucker Carlson or Roseanne, what it means here is, yeah, you can watch the state-approved rogues, the state-approved outsiders, the ones that they approve as being welcome within the media ecosystem, which basically means that they're full of maybe some good information, but enough bad information or discrediting information in the eyes of the masses to where their effect is nullified. Okay, someone said the audio just cleaned up. Now it's too low. Okay. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fix the audio and get over some of these tech issues. I turned down the volume. I shouldn't be messing with things on the fly, but I will definitely try to get this fixed here in the next couple of hours, and then once we have everything perfect, we'll have our regular schedule. I just want to work out the bugs. But anyway, we'll be back. We'll be back this evening, open phones. I'll be in the Discord server all day. So I just mostly wanted to touch base, and some of the things we're going to be talking about are the developments with the passion of the queue, which is pretty much what it comes down to, the passion of the queue, Twitter rate limits and what that means. What it means, I think, is we're ahead of the curve. Like, look, just as we are preparing to expand, they're contracting. So I think our timing couldn't be better. I'm going to turn this back on over to the 24/7, and I'm going to do some tech support today. But thanks for joining, and we'll be back later.
I'm on auto hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.